Hello friends! Today is the great day when the presidency of the most powerful country in the world is decided, whose destiny affects us all, whether we like it or not, because of its economic and political power. There are pessimistic predictions of a large-scale betrayal, but no one knows for sure all the aces the president has up his sleeve. There is also the possibility that the whole process will be delayed and tangled. Opinion article. Nobody knows what will happen today. Voting may be postponed. The big day is full of questions. Joint session of Congress and Senate. It is feared that Vice President Pence will not measure up. Nobody knows the day or the hour except our Creator. Trump will contest the elections beyond January 6. The president is under siege and probably needs to be saved. Republicans will object votes from Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. Republicans led Democrats in Georgia with 80% poll. Let's start. No one knows exactly what will happen today, Wednesday. There is much hope that what we have been waiting for will happen and end the darkness and chaos. But no one is sure of it. This is in their hands and in some elected as the president and his military forces. This could take time, so don't be disappointed if everything isn't revealed at once. The stakes are high, and it could even be great for the world, and for others it will be shocking. We know that we are in protected hands. Nobody knows what will happen today on the exact day or time except our Creator and a few high trusted sources, and they won't reveal it to anyone before its release. It will be in its perfect moment for us. This plan is classified and we are given the breadcrumbs, so to speak. Never in the field of human conflict so many owed so much to so few. Winston Churchill. Today, Wednesday, January 6th, at 9 a.m., just before the Congressional Electoral College meeting, the Republican legal team would present the documentation of foreign intervention in the elections and arrests of political and global elites involved. Joint session. Today, Wednesday, January 6th, Vice President Mike Pence presides over a joint session of both houses of Congress and Senate to count the votes of the Electoral College and listen to the challenges of Republican legislators. Disputes over election results in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada remain unresolved after courts refused to address allegations of wrongdoing and state legislature were out of session. More than 140 members of the House and many senators have announced that they will dispute the results. 90 Republicans have pledged to challenge the electoral votes during the joint session of Congress on January 6th. That includes 13 senators. Congress meets in Washington to count the ballots cast by state voters under the Electoral College system. Congress will determine who is the president-elect based on the votes. The current president is running for a second term and faces the Democratic presidential candidate. Objections must be in writing and have the support of at least one senator and one representative. An objection causes the suspension of the joint session and a 2-hour debate, followed by a vote. A majority of the vote in each chamber must confirm or reject the objection, which would nullify or approve the contested electoral vote. Storm Act. On January 1st, the President signed a law dubbed the Storm Act that should usher in the defeat of the globalists. It is designed to reduce damage from eventual catastrophes and provides funding to states. This money is supposed to correspond to the adjustment of currencies and the return of the gold standard. The President announced, "Prepare for what is going to come out in the next 2 weeks." He said in Georgia that he was going to declassify UFOs, the Kennedy assassination, and fire the heads of the 3-letter agencies. On the other hand, the FBI has released a third chest of documents by Nikola Tesla that show that the discovered wireless energy transmission directed energy beams and that Trump's uncle studied his patents. 3 opinions. Don Carlos de Marbella believes that Trump resigned on November 3rd and went from president to presidential candidate. On January 1st, 2021, Trump said, "It's big, everything is signed and will go into effect on January 1st. Obviously, he was referring to a return to the dollar backed by gold. On the same day, it was said that there were 209 nations that were in the process of applying the currency readjustment. Judy Bington believes that the presidential inauguration would not take place on January 20th, but on April 1st. Juan Osavin says the same, that the inauguration will not take place on January 20. Bets are for April 1st. April Fool's Day. The original opening date was March 20th. Robert David Steele thinks that when people talk about foreign interference, they always talk about China, but he talks about the UK. Rothschild Lear. In his view, the British are behind all these antics against the president since he ran as a candidate in the summer of 2016. A chronicle of a death foretold. Barring some miracle, it appears that today Congress and Vice President Pence could conspire against the president and close any objections to Biden's voters list from undecided states where a massive hoax took place. Pence has the power and precedent to turn down voters, which would trigger a so-called contingent election that we have already discussed. Mike Pence may not be present tomorrow and would be replaced by Senator Charles Grassley, who would oversee the opening and counting of the electoral votes. There are still plenty of wild cards and moving parts for the big show that will unfold in the next 24 hours. Pelosi, Pence, McCarthy, and McConnell may have plotted a backroom deal to stab Trump in the back. Senator Tom Compton commits political suicide by refusing to oppose false electoral votes, claiming that Congress has no power to discern such things, but the Constitution gives Congress this power. Four options. This would leave the United States with only 4 options remaining. First, Trump's legal team would check out some kind of game-changing epic declassified documents, like involving a slew of members of Congress. Second, the president would invoke the Insurrection Law or some similar form, Insurrection Act, or some similar form of military authority, probably declaring the election of an act of international war and citing new evidence from the Ratcliffe report. Third, the people would rise up and organize a defense of the Republic. Trump is under siege and probably needs to be saved by the people, not the other way around. Fourth, divine intervention. The Creator would intervene in some way, but descending now into a cesspool of abortion, transgression and demonism, it is difficult to see how we would grant mercy to this nation. Challenge. Trump has pledged to contest the election beyond the joint session of January 6. The president intends to pursue challenges of the 2020 election results in up to 8 states, regardless the outcome of the joint session of the Congress on January 6, when legislators will examine and count the Electoral College votes. Watch what happens over the next 2 weeks. Look what will come out. Look what is going to be revealed, said the president. The importance of the joint session has continued to grow after dozens of lawsuits by Trump's legal team and a handful of third parties were dismissed by courts in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. Only a handful of cases had evidentiary hearings, while the vast majority were dismissed on procedural grounds. More than 100 members of the House of Representatives have pledged to oppose Biden's voter rolls on January 6, according to the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. At least 74 have done so publicly. A group of 13 senators has pledged to add their names to the objections. The objection plan appears to have divided the Republican Party, as 27 Senate Republicans and at least 10 House Republicans opposed the idea. Vice President Mike Pence, in his capacity as President of the Senate, participates in the joint session that will begin at 1 p.m. today, January 6th. While the electoral counting law restricts Pence's role to opening envelopes containing electoral college votes, some experts argue that Pence has more options because the law could be unconstitutional. 3. Political news. Republican senators will object to electoral votes from Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. Alabama Republican Mo Brooks said several Republican senators will challenge electoral votes from Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia during the joint session of Congress on Wednesday. In an announcement on Twitter, Brooks said they need more senators to join Republican representatives in opposing electoral votes in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nevada. Georgia votes to define Senate. Voters in Georgia voted Tuesday for a pair of second-round elections that will determine both Senate control and the president's ability to push through an ambitious legislative agenda. Republicans led Democrats in Georgia with 80% counted. Republican senatorial candidates gained a slight lead over their Democratic rivals in Georgia state elections, with 80% of the votes counted. 3. Curious news. In Los Angeles, ambulances are advised not to take patients without options to survive to hospitals. Los Angeles County hospitals have reached a critical point, and medical authorities advise ambulance teams to reduce their use of oxygen and do not take patients with little chance of survival to hospitals, reports Los Angeles Times. What is the U.S. Coast Guard doing patrolling the South Atlantic. A U.S. Coast Guard ship left on his maiden voyage to the South Atlantic within the framework of an operation that, despite having been presented in Argentina as merely protocol, aims to combat illegal fishing, something that, according to a strategic report, could threaten global geopolitical stability. A dinosaur invasion will be installed in a tropical park in Florida. A lush tropical garden in Orlando, the Harry P. Liu Gardens in Central Florida, will present a dinosaur invasion as of January 18th on a real scale among the dense foliage, with specimens such as Daspletosaurus 10 meters high. Economy. The World Bank expects global growth. No one knows what will happen. The world economy would grow 4% in 2021 after having contracted 4.3% in 2020, the World Bank said on Tuesday. Expert explains which is the best currency to maintain savings in 2021. The best foreign currency to maintain our savings in 2021 will be the euro, in his opinion, whose growth will be boosted by the recovery of the European economy, estimates the stock exchange expert Michael Zelster. Republicans must stop big banks from destroying the First Amendment with a financial breakdown. Right now, the most existential threat to free speech is increased financial degradation. If conservatives want to retain the ability to think and speak freely for decades to come, they must act to prevent the most powerful financial institutions from imposing a brutal regime of censorship. Trump bans transactions with the Alipay and seven other Chinese applications. The president signed an executive order prohibiting transactions with Alipay and 7 other Chinese mobile applications. The ban affects Alipay, Scammer, QQ Wallet, ShareIt, Tencent, VMate, WeChat Pay, and WPS Office apps. The document states that these applications collect personal information from citizens, which could be accessed by the Chinese government. The New York Stock Exchange rejects the trade war with China. The New York Stock Exchange abandons the plan to withdraw from the sale the shares of 3 Chinese telecommunications companies by order of the president. Gold may be the protagonist in 2021. It cannot be said that gold has experienced a bad year. Far from it, it is in fact one of the assets that has performed the best, especially during the worst of the health crisis, in which it once again behaved as the safe haven asset par excellence, as it happened through the financial crisis of 2008. It is true that investors less avid for risk opted for gold, but it is also true that this health crisis of very high economic voltage is very different from the previous ones. The electricity will rise 7.2% in 2020. The average user's electricity will become more expensive in 2020 by 7.2% in Spain, according to the analysis by Facua Consumers in Action, about the abolition of the semi-tariff regulated. Offshore wind energy is already profitable in Spain. Offshore wind energy, in the same way as the onshore wind energy, is the energy obtained by the force produced by the wind. The only difference is that wind turbines are located at sea, where the wind available to generate power can be twice that on land. In a country like Spain, surrounded by kilometers of coastline, the potential of offshore wind could be key for the development of sustainable energy and a possibility for economic reactivation. Short news. Why do the French burn hundreds of vehicles every New Year's Eve? New Year's Eve seems to be not only a joyous party, but also a headache for French motorists due to an atrocious tradition of setting groups in the country to say goodbye to the year, burning cars. In 2020, on New Year's Eve, 861 vehicles were destroyed against the record of 1,031 in 2018. If you want to burn a car, burn yours to see if you like it. The United Kingdom refuses to extradite Assange to the United States, where he faces 175 years in prison. A British court on Monday rejected the extradition to the US of the founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, accused by that country of alleged espionage and computer intrusion. They considered that it would be detrimental to his mental health. He faces up to 175 years in prison for those charges. The prosecutor's office has confirmed that it is going to appeal the decision, so the final process can be delayed even years. The trial judge will have to decide on Wednesday, whether to leave Assange in preventive detention for the duration of the new legal process of whether to release him. Assange is free to go home when his trial is over. Julian Assange is free to go home in Australia once legal challenges against him are resolved, Prime Minister Scott Morrison said on Tuesday, after that a UK court rejected a request to extradite the WikiLeaks founder to the US. Xi Jinping orders the Chinese army to be ready for war at any time. Chinese President Xi Jinping has signed his first order of 2021 addressed to the country's armed forces, underlining the need that its troops carry out full-time combat preparation, and in which it advocates the use of high technology in the exercises, among other aspects. The father of a YouTuber breaks down in tears when he learns that his son paid him every penny of his mortgage. The young man paid off the outstanding debt with the bank so that his father can retire earlier than planned. The father of YouTuber Jamie Nyland burst into tears when he learned that his son paid every penny of his mortgage. The moving moment has shared this Sunday brought the young man's TikTok account. An excellent example. Excuse me. A plant helps stop hair loss. So palmetto, serenoa, a plant native to northern Mexico and the southeastern US, is capable of inhibiting the activity of male sex hormones, one of the main reasons for the loss of hair in men. More than half of the male population suffers from alopecia, commonly known as baldness. However, it is possible to stop hair loss using the extract of this plant, known for its anti-androgenic properties. It's a year. 2021 is the year of the light workers. For the first half of 2021, we see that there will be more restrictions, but this will be gradually clarified. But it is up to you, our workers of light, who can accelerate this openness, this justice, this liberation of humankind, that it is at hand. So, 2021 is your year. It's the year of your voice, of your truth. It is time for you not only to stay in the light, but to move into the light. Matthew 7:13-14. Enter through the narrow door, because wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many are those who enter through it. Because narrow is the door, and narrow is the way that leads to life, and few are those who find it. Astronomical events to see in 2021. This year, there will be eclipses, meteor showers, supermoons, and various historical space missions. Looking up at the sky will bring some rewards this year. The new year will bring a partial lunar eclipse that will be visible in Mexico, Central America, and part of South America, as well as a total solar eclipse and the traditional meteor showers, in addition to 3 supermoons. Other dates to highlight have to do with space exploration, with the launch of missions and the arrival of some probes at their destination. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, and we will see the result tomorrow.